What's up YouTube community, Brent here, welcome back to another quick tutorial video. Today I want to show you one basic but very important trick that will immediately improve your phrasing and creative lick writing. This trick is often used in jazz, fusion and many other styles of music, but I don't really see a lot of shredders taking advantage of it, that's why I want to cover it in this lesson. Once again I recorded a really cool practical example for you that will serve as this week's exercise. So without further ado, let's get started right away. In the last couple of weeks, the main focus of my personal practice plan was improving my phrasing and gathering some more ideas for licks. I think that you're all familiar with the problem of playing the same stuff all the time, and that's something I absolutely want to avoid. So I make sure to constantly check out new harmony approaches or phrasing concepts to keep it interesting. For today's exercise we will actually just work with one single lick, and I will show you a system that will save you a lot of time when you're composing your solos or when you're improvising. So let's check out the practical example I recorded for you this week before we analyze this system in detail. So as you could see, I was playing the exact same lick with every single repetition, but I was changing the starting point each time. Us guitar players are very tempted to start our solos, improvised takes and licks right on the downbeat, right when the solo riff is starting. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. While there's nothing wrong with that approach, it will get boring at some point when you constantly repeat this formula. In other music styles like jazz, it's very common to actually avoid the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is a completely different approach, a lot of space between the individual lines that allows the whole composition to breathe a little bit. So for the lick I was showing you earlier, I chose a legato and hybrid picking approach, and it sounds like that. And a little bit faster. So I was playing two phrases. The first one is very basic A, B, C, the beginning of the A minor scale, just pick, hammer, hammer. And then I'm repeating that phrase constantly, so just once, hammer-ons all the way, then. So that phrase might be a little bit confusing already. Please take your time to learn it first before you start playing around with the different variations I showed you in the practical example. I'll also make sure to record a couple of legato tutorials in the future, so you can build that kind of strength you need in your left hand to play phrases like that. One of my personal favorite legato players is called Tom Quayle, so I definitely recommend checking out his channel and his videos too. He's the guy responsible for making this hybrid picking approach very popular, where we are combining regular picking with finger picking, which allows us a fluid transition between the strings. And what that does is allow us a fluid transition between the notes, because we don't really want that kind of aggressive picking attack on the first note. We don't want to automatically place an accent every time we're playing the first note on a new string, and that often happens when we play legato like that. As you can maybe hear, we have a heavy accent on the first note on each string, and the timing also suffers from that, since you can only really hear the first note really loud and the rest is just kind of quickly hammered on. We want to play perfectly in time, and this is a technique that allows us to put more focus on the timing, phrasing and dynamics of each individual note. So if you want to learn more about that, check out his videos. He's an absolute master of using this technique, and I've only started working with it a couple of weeks ago, but I really like the results I'm getting. But if you're currently more interested in developing your alternate picking technique, you can also use that technique for this exercise, of course, since it's primarily about timing and not about the legato workout. That also sounds pretty cool for licks like that. As always, you can find the PDF tabs and guitar profiles with another exercise for this week, and also a practice backing track on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Bernd, in case you want to dig deeper and really master this technique. So when you practice this at home, make sure to work with the practice backing track I uploaded on Patreon, or at least use a metronome to get the timing right. It might be tough in the beginning to use one particular lick that you practiced hundreds of times in one variation in different rhythmic variations, but this will open a new door for you to tons of exciting possibilities. Just think about it that way, you can adapt this system to every single lick you learned so far. So maybe you have one lick that you really love using, but you already used that one in a song, or you catch yourself constantly playing it in your improvised takes. Just try a different rhythmic variation. What happens when you start that lick on the one end, for example? You will come up with some great and very fresh lick ideas that way, since your phrasing will change completely. Suddenly the heavy accents you have in your own kind of playing fall on the syncopated times in the measure. So if you're guilty of constantly playing groups of 2, 3 or 6, for example, with the same kind of accents all the time, they will actually shift once you move the entire phrase on the upbeat. But the great news is that you can rely on licks that you can already play, you just have to become more rhythmically independent to use them in multiple ways. And that is exactly what this week's lesson is all about. I really hope that you will work with this exercise and that you can use this system for your own licks and songs. As I said, I uploaded the tabs, guitar profiles and practice backing tracks for all members on Patreon, so head over there if you're part of my shred guitar community, download the files and get to practicing. Thanks a lot for checking out this video. I tried to keep it short and simple this time. I hope you have a lot of fun practicing it, and I will see you next week. All the best until then.